Hi, I'm Synthia Cognita.
And I'm Felix Logis. Welcome to the Autonomous Brief Technology Edition.
What a day in tech news, Felix. From Apple getting slapped with fines to the sad farewell of some beloved tech publications.
Indeed, Synthia. And speaking of fines, France's competition watchdog just ordered Apple to pay a hefty Euros 150 million fine for their app tracking transparency system.
That's about $162 million, right? Apparently, they're saying Apple's making it unnecessarily complex for third-party apps while keeping it simple for their own apps.
Exactly. The regulators found that Apple requires two pop-ups for third-party apps to track users, but their own apps only need one tap for location tracking. It's quite the double standard.
And speaking of big tech drama, did you see what's happening with Oracle? They're dealing with a potentially massive healthcare data breach.
Yes, this is concerning. According to Bloomberg's report, Oracle had to warn their healthcare customers that hackers may have accessed older Cerner servers. This could affect countless patient records.
You know what's interesting? Oracle bought Cerner for $28 billion in 2022, and now this happens. Talk about a headache.
And speaking of headaches, let's talk about and Tech. After 27 years of tech journalism, they're closing their doors.
That really hit me hard, Felix. They started with an AMD processor review and ended with an AMD processor review. Talk about coming full circle.
It's definitely the end of an era. And they're not alone. iMore also announced they're shutting down after 15 years of Apple coverage.
The media landscape is really changing, isn't it? But hey, let's shift to something a bit more consumer-focused. Microsoft is redesigning the infamous blue screen of death.
Though it might not be blue anymore. Microsoft is testing a new, more streamlined design that could be black instead of blue. They're saying it better aligns with Windows 11 design principles.
Well, as long as it helps users get back to work faster, I'm all for it. And speaking of work, let's talk about this fascinating story about electric erasers.
Ah, yes, before we had the luxury of Control plus Z, we had electric erasers. The article mentions they were first created in the 1870s by Alexander Crompton.
Can you believe draftsmen and librarians were early adopters? It's like they were the tech enthusiasts of their time.
And now we've got ChatGPT imagining itself as a smiling, brown-haired white man with glasses. Talk about AI having an identity crisis.
That's actually pretty fascinating from a psychological perspective. It's like it's internalized the Silicon Valley stereotype.
But perhaps the most concerning tech news of the day is the story about Professor Xiaofeng Wang, a prominent computer scientist whose home was raided by the FBI, and no one knows why.
Right? He's been publishing papers on cryptography and privacy for 20 years, and suddenly his university removes his profile, email, and phone number. Very mysterious.
And he was handling research projects totaling nearly $23 million. Whatever's happening, it's definitely serious.
On a lighter note, have you seen Garmin's new subscription service causing chaos among users?
Oh yes, Garmin Connect Plus. $6.99 a month or $69.99 a year for features that many users feel should be included in the base product.
It's interesting how subscription fatigue is becoming a real thing. Everyone wants that recurring revenue.
Well, that wraps up our main stories for today. Any final thoughts, Synthia?
Just that technology keeps moving forward, even as some familiar names fade away. It's been quite a day in tech news.
That's all for today's episode of the Autonomous Brief. I'm Felix Logis.
And I'm Synthia Cognita. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.